Quo Rorento. There you go. Basically, he was stood down. Well, not he was removed as Agriculture Minister. So, I mean, what more do we have to prove here? When you apply the law, and you study your rights well and apply it to them, most times you find out they're just a marshmallow. So. Well, I'm back again on a live stream. I really honestly think I'm being censored. There is no question about this. I get to the real nitty-gritty of it all and things just cut off. But again, I'm just letting you know how I'm coming through. This is the console of this new program that I'm doing. But what I wanted to make very, very clear here is the FOI to the, and this is what I was referring to before. And let's just get a couple of documents here. But I went through it in the last live stream, but it's interesting when it comes down to the decision, which is down here. Here, further assistance and information request. Let me try and I'll just bring this up a bit more. And this is the kicker. Sorry. I note that the department does not hold any documents in relation to points 1 and 2. Well, 1 and 2 was asking where the executive power Murray Watts is relying on in order to shut down a right. Now, what I want to show you is this. That's the ones that they're relying on, which is the Australian Constitution. However, this one is the Constitution. As you can see, the crest is completely different. So they say that all laws made under the Constitution, but what we have to, as all Australians, have to ask, which Constitution are they referring to? Because there has been referendums to alter the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. However, when you look at the current constitution that this so-called Australian government rely on, which I believe, given my senator's knowledge and all the research and case law that I have researched, could appear to be a copyright, and the Australian people have never actually gone out and asked the question. I mean, I'm asking the question now. There is no question about that, because as we know, there's some very high court cases, even a final decision by the House of Lords, that the sovereignty of a country can only exist under its true constitution. You can't usurp the powers of a constitution. So that is simply all we're doing. So we're just asking, how does Murray Watts rise above his ministerial powers, if he's got any powers at all, under the Australian Constitution, when in fact we should all be sitting under the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act? How one could sever a right when Section 51(1) of the Constitution says we have free right to trade amongst the states and amongst the countries. So unless those sheep are labouring under an infectious disease, and if there's no quarantine issue when they hit the port, the Australian government's jurisdiction, they have no power to even act, even if it was law. The issue too, which I always knew it was going to get hijacked, is the message going out there is keep the sheep. The Australian government have never claimed to get rid of sheep.
And Western Australian farmers protest against the government's proposed ban on live sheep exports. More than 1,500 trucks and farm vehicles clogged major roads in Perth today in the Keep the Sheep movement. They are calling for a rollback of the decision to ban live sheep exports announced earlier this month. Australia will end live sheep trade by 2028 due to animal welfare concerns. Almost all of Australia's live sheep exports are from WA at around 500,000 sheep per year, worth $85 million, which is only 1% of Australia's sheep exports value. Live sheep exports mostly go to Middle Eastern countries, and extreme heat could cause animal distress and deaths. Animal welfare groups have welcomed the export ban.
They need to keep shipping sheep. The message needs to be clear. What we also need to do is to make sure that we hold them all to account, because while this administrative government, which I believe is operating outside the three tiers of government, they're now making laws which we say are not in full compliance with our foundation laws, and as we all know, a stream cannot rise above its source, so we can't create another document to try and overcome our founding deed. And I guess the best way to describe that is if you had a Mercedes car and you took the badge off it and put a Hyundai badge on it, well then you can't claim it's a Mercedes until you pop the bonnet, because people would then say, well, it's got a Hyundai badge, so you can't say it's a Mercedes. And that's exactly what I believe has happened here. I take nothing away from my maiden speech, and the rights of all Australians are really under a threat, and we must also stand up and maintain what our Anzacs fought for in this country. So that is pretty much it. That's the update. Thanks for everyone for cutting and pasting the misinformation, disinformation, public notice. I think it had a great effect. There again, if you apply the law, which has been ratified by the Australian government, if you call it a law at all, that's the question again, but that's the job of the senators. We've been able to put a crowbar in the gearbox there as well. So some good results coming out when we want to apply, and like again back reiterating with my true friend who says that I should perhaps go off and get a proper job, but at the same time I think there's some unfinished business, and we need to have individuals that are participating. This is our country, this is our law, we have a right to question our law. This is not, we all share the well-being of all we're the beneficiaries of this great nation, and certain people have to put other jobs aside to concentrate on doing the work, which are the beneficiaries are the Australian people who really need the help and getting the help at the top end of town. So look, we are holding this current regime to account. We're seeing stuff play out in America coming back. Our foundation law, which is what I've always said, we must come back under the protection of the Commonwealth. If we get back under the Commonwealth, we have rights. If we maintain outside the Commonwealth, then we only have privileges. So there you go. So I'll leave it at that. But there's a decision. There's no instrument that Mr. Watts. That's why he stood down as Agriculture Minister pretty much straight away after I served here it is here, a quo rento. There you go. Basically, he was stood down. Well, he was removed as Agriculture Minister. So, what more do we have to prove here? When you apply the law and you study your rights, and apply it to them, most times you find out they're just a marshmallow. So we'll leave it at that. That's the update, and God bless, and hopefully I can really master this new system. And you can see there, I've got the proper microphones, I've got the lights, studio lights, big screen, whatever, but I just want to make sure that I get it right, because then I'll be live streaming out to 5 channels, or restreaming out to 5 channels, which I think will be a real plus for the party. Okay, so I'll sign off now. God bless, and see you in the winner's circle. Of course, become members. We need members. We need to keep our candidates flowing through. Thanks a lot. Bye.
They lie, the men who tell us, for reasons of their own. Want is here a stranger, misery's unknown. Where the nearest suburb and the city proper meet, high windowsill is level with the faces in the street. Drifting past to the beat of weary feet. I sorrow for the owners of the faces in the street, and cause I have to sorrow in a land so young and fair. See upon those faces the marks of wanton care, and I look in vain for traces of the fresh and fair and sweet in the sallow sunken faces that are drifting through the street. Drifting on to the scrape of restless feet. I sorrow for the owners of the faces in the street. And I wonder, would the apathy of wealthy men endure, for all their windows level with the faces of the poor? Our mammon's slaves, in these shall not your hearts in terror beat, when your God demands a reason for the sorrows of the street. The wrong things and the bad things, and the sad things that we meet in the filthy lane and alley, and the cruel and heartless street. And I cried, oh God Almighty, if thy might does still endure, now show me in a vision for the wrongs of earth the cure. And lo, with shops all shuttered, I saw a city street, and in the warning distance heard the tramp of many feet. Pouring on to a drum's loud threatening beat, and the war hymns and the cheering of the people in the street. Must be while the world goes rolling round its course, the warning pen shall write in vain, the warning voice grow hoarse, and kindle eyes all blazing bright, revolution's heat, and flashing swords reflecting rigid faces in the street. Coming near to a drum's dull distant beat, then I saw the army that was marching down the street.